Good morning. I'm in Amos chapter 6 this morning, and this will be a bit of a quick one, so I'll read all the way from verse 1. Woe to them that are at ease in Zion, and trust in the mountain of Samaria, which are named chief of the nations, to whom the house of Israel came. Pass ye unto Calneh, and see, and from thence go ye to Hamath the great. Then go down to Gath of the Philistines. Be they better than these kingdoms, or their border greater than your border? Ye that put far away the evil day, and cause a seat of violence to come near, that lie upon beds of ivory, and stretch themselves upon their couches, and eat the lambs out of the flock, and the calves out of the midst of the stall, that chant to the sound of the viol, and invent to themselves instruments of music like David. Amen. Now, don't forget where this chapter starts. It starts with a woe. And when God says woe, just like a horse, you better stop. Woe to them that are at ease. Let that car go past. Woe to them that are at ease in Zion. Woe to them that are at ease. This is one of the great dangers of the Western world at the moment. We've become so prosperous and so wealthy and with so many goods that we can become at ease. And God says, woe to them that are at ease, because from a place of ease comes perversion and sin. Think about Sodom, for example. In Ezekiel chapter 16, we get told that the sin of Sodom wasn't the root of the sin of Sodom. It wasn't sodomy. It wasn't that homosexuality and that perversion they were getting to. The root of it was what we are currently experiencing in the West right now. Ezekiel 16, verse 49. Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom: pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness. So the horrible sins that caused Sodom to be destroyed by fire and brimstone started with a place of pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness. And that's where the West is at right now. They're proud, they got lots of bread and a lot of time on their hands often, and that leads to sin. And now look what one of the sins here that those that are at ease in Zion fall into. Go down to verse 5 here. That chant to the sound of the viol. Now that's the only time the word chant shows up in the King James Bible, which I thought was quite interesting. I thought that there might have been chants in some of their their wars or stuff like that, but no, the only time that the word chant or chant comes in is here, and it's called chant to the sound of the viol, and invent to themselves instruments of music like David. Now, there's a lot of people that have different convictions about this, and I would encourage everyone to at least challenge their conviction. But modern Christian rock and roll music, I do not believe is of God. And you watch any of this modern Christian music, they do exactly that. They just chant to the sound of the viol. And God sends a woe over people, and this is one of the things he's upset them about. They're chanting to the sound of the viol. And what do? They invent to themselves instruments of music like David. Now, I was a drummer for many years, and I worked with other musicians, and it often came up the contention with other Christians about the type of music we were playing sometimes. And it was quite interesting how every musician would justify their electric guitar or their bass guitar or their synthesizer piano with all of its things, or the drum kit. They would justify it by going back to a verse that David wrote. And I find it interesting, this verse says that these people that God has said woe to are inventing to themselves instruments of music like David. So David's their inspiration, but they've come a long way from David. And I think that's where the modern Christian music scene is at today. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I thought if it was very quick, I might look at some things, because music, I believe, is quite clearly going to be a part of the tribulation and the Antichrist and taking that mark. But maybe we'll look at that tomorrow. But for now, just read this verse, pray to the Lord. Maybe you're a musician, and this maybe gets you a bit upset to even put the thought across that your music might be displeasing to God, and you might be part of a church worship team. But read this verse, and maybe your church chants a lot, and they've invented themselves all sorts of music, and they say, oh no, we're just like David. We're just doing what David did. Maybe you need to go to the Lord in prayer and say, Lord, is what I'm doing actually pleasing to you? It'd be a good question to ask in sincerity and prayer to the Lord. Anyway, we're at 5 minutes. They chant to the sound of the viol and invent to themselves instruments of music like David. God bless you. Have a good day.